Good morning. Wow, it seems foggy in my room today, but glare. How are you? Today, only talking about one movie because there really is just one movie coming to Hong Kong. Well, I guess yesterday actually there's a couple, but this is the only one I've seen. One film that arrived here in Hong Kong yesterday was Capernaum, the Lebanese film that was up for best foreign language film, but I haven't seen it yet, so I can't talk about it. But the big film opening this weekend, opened yesterday, was Captain Marvel, the latest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think this is number 21, 22. It's either 21 or 22. I can't remember. And it's the origin story of. I don't want to reveal anything. This is going to be a spoiler-free review. I'm not going to reveal. It's the origin story of the woman who is known as Captain Marvel. Now, I don't know if you heard last week that I guess this was going on for a few weeks, that people were going on to Rotten Tomatoes and complaining about the film, and they hadn't even seen the film. So, so it caused Rotten Tomatoes to change how they rate their films on its site and how films are rated on its site. And so now users are not allowed to leave comments or rate a film until a film is released in the cinemas. So you can stop they've sort of stopped these insecure guys who live in their mother's basements from ruining a film before it even gets out. Because they did this with Ghostbusters, the 2016 female reboot of Ghostbusters. Basically, any film that's about a woman, they get on and they trash it, and they haven't even seen it. But now that the film's out, and I guess because the film's out now, they can go back on and complain about it, whether or not they've seen it. But if they have seen it, I've seen it. If they complain about it, they're sort of going to be justified. So this is the first film by the Marvel Cinematic Universe to star a female superhero. So there have been others. There's the one with Scarlett Johansson. I can't remember what her name is, but she's never had her own film. So this is the first one by Marvel to star a female superhero, and it's the first MCU film to be released following the death of Stan Lee, who passed away last November at the age of 95. And to honor the character's creator, at the start of this film, they did a nice montage of Stan Lee's work in his cameo appearances in the previous 20 or 21 MCU films, set against the backdrop of the Marvel logo, which is very, very nice, very classy, and not really a spoiler. He does appear. He does have a cameo in this one too. I think he also does a cameo in the upcoming Avengers, because they would have filmed it last year. But after that, what's after that? Because Shazam is DC, I think. So yeah, so that might be the end of his cameo appearances. So after that, the story begins on the planet Hala, where a woman by the name of Veers, V-E-R-S, Veers, it rhymes with years, and that's played by Oscar winner Brie Larson, who was in, she won the Oscar for Room, and she was in one of my favorite indie films for a few years back, Short Turn 12. That's where I first heard about her. No, actually, I first heard about her in Don John. She had a very tiny part in Don John, and I loved her, and I said, and she was also in The Spectacular Now, wonderful film, and she was in Glass Castle, awful film, pretty good book, awful film, and she was in Kong, Skull Island. So she is Veers, and she's sparring with her mentor and fellow blue-blooded Kree by the name of Yon Rod, played by Jude Law. And Jude Law's been around for a long time, so. Veers, she's got a bit of a problem, though. She can't remember her life before she came to Hala 6 years earlier. But what happens is, like, memories sort of come into her head and she can't place them. So she knows there's something there, but she doesn't know what it is, and it's frustrating her. But that all changes after she's captured by a fellow by the name of Talos, played by the wonderful Ben Mendelsohn. And he's the leader of an enemy alien race known as the Skrull. They're a bunch of shapeshifters, and he probes her mind, looking for information on something called the Supreme Intelligence, which is an organic artificial intelligence that rules over the Kree. Now, every Kree sees the Supreme Intelligence differently. It's supposed to look like somebody from their past. And for Veers, Kree looks like a woman, played by Annette Bening, but not Annette Bening, played by Annette Bening. But she can't figure out where she knows this woman from. It's from, she's from her past, but she can't figure out who she is, where she knows her from. And, again, different memories pop into her head, but she can't quite put her finger on it. Now, what happens is she gets away from the Skrull, and she gets, she hijacks a plane and flies to the planet C-53, which we know as Earth. And there she meets Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson. And he is an agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. But we already knew that. She didn't know that. We knew that. With the Skrull and the Kree in hot pursuit, Veers and Fury try to piece together Veers' past and save the good guys in the nick of time. And in the process, they're helped by an orange cat by the name of Goose, played by 4 very well-trained cats. They were great. And Goose was great, played by 4 cats. Goose was great. And a woman by the name of Maria Rambo, played by Lashana Lynch. I've never seen her before, but she was very nice. She's a test pilot that Veers once knew, so somebody from her past. And she's a test pilot. Now that's all I'm going to say about the story. I never read reviews before I see a film. I read them afterwards. And like last night, I was reading a review by a very respectable critic. She just gave everything away. I thought, wow. And I'm really careful when I review, and I'm much better now than I was 4 years ago. I'm really careful about what I say, and basically I don't give anything away that isn't in the trailer. So I was really surprised. She gave a lot away. So I hope I haven't given away too much here. I don't think I have. Anyway, following the runaway success of Wonder Woman, which is from the rival franchise across the road, DCEU, DC Extended Universe, Marvel was under pressure to make Captain Marvel just as good, if not better. But, that's what they say. But, let's be honest, it wasn't huge pressure because the Marvel Cinematic Universe has made about 4 times more money than DC's Extended Universe. They've made like $17-18 billion over its 2021 films. So, you know what? There's pressure, but this wasn't a lot of pressure. But for the most part, I'd say that Brie Larson is up for the challenge, and she kicks some serious alien male butt, and she's got a good sense of humor, very wry sense of humor, and she's got a really warm smile. There's some really good scenes where she's with Maria's daughter, sort of like her goddaughter, and oops, no, I gave too much away there. So she's with Maria's daughter, and that was a really nice scene. She got a good scene with Fury. Got a few good scenes with Fury, I gotta say, and so there was really good chemistry there. So she's got, look, she won an Oscar. She's got star power, So she's a classy actress, and so I think in that respect, I think she did really well. Unfortunately, the script is not very good. It's pretty run of the mill. And surprisingly, it borrows heavily from Star Wars and even Indiana Jones. There's a scene towards the end that is completely ripped off from Indiana Jones. And as I was watching this, I turned to my friend Max. I go, I know what's going to happen. And it happened. So I was really surprised about that. And, they have like Ronan the Accuser, who's played by Lee Pace. We saw him in Guardians of the Galaxy. This character, and we saw Ronan the Accuser before in Guardians of the Galaxy. He looks like Emperor Palpatine carrying Thor's hammer, his Mjolnir. So I thought costuming not really inspiring. When you think you had wonderful costumes on Black Panther, and look, it was Oscar winning. These costumes were really boring. So, very disappointing in that regard. Now, I mentioned I mentioned Ronan the Accuser. I said we've seen him before. We also saw a few other people. Of course, we saw Nick Fury. We've seen Samuel L. Jackson playing Nick Fury in 8 MCU films so far. 4 of them were just cameos, and 3 of those 4 were even uncredited cameos. So this is really the most we've seen from this character, and he does it great. But interestingly, because the time frame is in the mid 90s, they used the CGI people at Marvel used de-aging technology to make him look about 20 years younger, and he looked great. I don't think I don't think the actor ever looked that good, 20 years ago, but he looked good in this film. So yeah, it's interesting, I guess, because that's set in the 90s, and I think the Avengers is set contemporary time. So I guess Captain Marvel doesn't age, because otherwise, she's going to be 25 years older, and come April 24th when the next Avengers film comes out. So I guess she doesn't age, or maybe she ages slowly. I guess that's how they're going to get around it. So, and also that we've seen the Kree mercenary by the name of Korath, who's played by Jimon Hounsou, or as people say, Jaimin Hounsou. The wonderful actor that we saw him in King Arthur, Legends of the Sword, horrible movie, but he was good. He was in Legend of Tarzan, horrible movie, but he was good. Great actor. And he was also in Guardians of the Galaxy playing this same character. So we've seen a few of these people before. Not that that's bad. That's quite good, actually. Now I mentioned the film is set in the 1990s, and the fun parts of the film are centered around sort of poking fun at 1990s, mid-1990s icons. If you've seen the trailer, you see a scene involving Blockbuster Videos, which of course we know is dead. And there's another store that you see, and it no longer, I think it might still exist. I have a feeling it no longer exists. And lots of jokes about Windows 3.1 era technology. They don't mention Windows 3.1, but you see it. Although there's no blue screens of death. And if you don't know what a blue screen of death is, Google it. But for kids who were not around during, when there only was Windows 3.1 pretty much, I don't know that they're going to get some of these jokes, but certainly people my age got them, and very, very funny. But so there were some good things about this film, but I'd say the screenplay really just was not great. And also I'd say the action scenes were not great either. There's the obligatory chase scene, which was somewhat reminiscent of The French Connection. But again, you know what? We saw a better chase scene in Black Panther. We even saw a better chase scene in Spider-Man: Homecoming. This one was pretty mundane. It was pretty dull. It needed some adrenaline. So and I think the problem with this film, with this story, was that Captain Marvel is so powerful that she was really no match for the people who were her enemies in this film. She was so much more powerful than them that she just dispatched them right away. So I think when we're going to see her again in a few weeks' time in Avengers Endgame, where she's got to go up against Thanos and God knows who else. We'll probably be seeing Ronan the Accuser again in that film. I'm just guessing. I don't know. And so I think then hopefully we'll see much better action scenes. But this action scene these action scenes were not great. So I think you had a really good actress in a not really good film. So that was it. But what's Captain Marvel about? It's about female empowerment, and I think as far as that goes, I thought that was pretty good. There's a scene towards the end where it was very inspirational. My friend Max said it was sort of like that new is it Nike commercial, the one with Serena Williams. I haven't seen the commercial, but I heard about it. So as he said, it's a very inspirational scene in this film about female empowerment. I thought that was really good. But I'll tell you something, if you're going to compare female empowerment movies between this and Wonder Woman's got her beat. I think also, not just in terms of empowerment, but I think in terms of costuming, I think come Halloween, you're going to get little girls still, more of them are going to dress up as Wonder Woman than they are as Captain Marvel, because Wonder Woman's costume is a much better costume. So, and I think as far as origin stories go, I think this one's good. It lays a good foundation for her. She's a likable character. She's a very likable character. I want to say that. She's a very likable character. It's somebody you want to see more of. But, all in all, not a great film, not a horrible film, sort of, very mediocre. I'd say it's about on par with the first Thor film, and that film made about $500 million. So we can probably expect this film to make about $500 million, if more. So I'd say, to me it was a little disappointing. I would have liked it to be, a lot bigger, but it wasn't. But not a horrible film. So go see it. Opened yesterday. I think it opens today around the world, or opened yesterday, and it'll be around for a few weeks, and then we'll see her again in 7 weeks' time in Avengers Endgame. That's it. That's all I got to talk about today. The Hong Kong International Film Festival is coming up in a couple of weeks. I've got like 8 films to see in the next week, the week after. I think for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I've got about 8 films to see in each week. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to review them all, but try. So have a good week, and see you around.